Welcome to Talk of the Town, and joining me today is Mildura born and bred Ross Chisari. Ross, how are you?
Good, John. How are you?
Fantastic to see you again.
Thanks.
The last time we caught up, of course, was post-COVID, and you were just about to go back to restart Shrek, the
Correct.
musical in Brisbane. How did that go?
Shrek was great. It was a very fortunate circumstance that the show was able to pick up where we left off. It was I was sitting in Melbourne twiddling my thumbs, and the producer rang and said, "What are you doing in 3 weeks? We're back on tour." And the tour started in Brisbane, and it was a bit of a whirlwind, but it was awesome.
Fantastic. Well, of course, the big news is you've just been appointed to the lead role in the musical We Will Rock You. I have to read that out. And of course, that's all about Queen and their great music, and you're a multi-talented actor, singer, dancer. Fantastic that you've been appointed to this role.
Yeah, it's I mean, who doesn't love Queen, right? So it's We Will Rock You is a musical, music and lyrics by Queen, and the book is by Ben Elton. And I get to play Galileo Figaro, which I'm sure people will recognise from the Bohemian Rhapsody lyrics. It's an awesome opportunity, and I've never done a role this big. It's probably the biggest role in my career so far, so I'm pretty stoked and pretty excited and pretty nervous.
That's fantastic. And of course, you'll be hitting some high notes in that show,
Some,
I imagine.
not just some, John. I'll be hitting a lot of high notes.
Yeah.
Obviously, my character is based around Freddie Mercury. So every note that Freddie has had to hit in his career, I also have to hit. So
Fantastic.
It's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, look, it'll be fabulous. Opens in Brisbane.
Correct.
And eventually it'll get to Melbourne and Adelaide. And of course, the opportunity for Mildura people to get to Adelaide or Melbourne will be there.
Absolutely. So we are opening in Brisbane in September, and we hit Adelaide in January. So if people can't wait to see the show, they can get to Adelaide in Jan, or if they're willing to wait, you can come to Melbourne in April.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you're up here to see your family, who, when you grew up here, of course, you went to St Joseph's College, and you sort of started treading the boards at a very early age there.
I did. I was actually in the car with my mum yesterday and said it's so nice to be home, and it's so important, I think, as artists who come and go from, bigger towns or big opportunities, to remember where they came from.
Yeah.
And I like to think my story is a story of humble beginnings. St Joseph's College, Greece in year 12, and then some training with the Mildura Ballet Guild, and Shirley Bowie, who's since passed, was my singing teacher. So it's nice to remember where you come from, and yeah, it's always nice to come back.
Yeah. Just back on We Will Rock You, I imagine it's a big cast, and I think you were telling me when we had an interview the other day that a huge chorus.
Yeah, absolutely. So normally the cast, when it's a musical in a theatre, it's usually a cast of around 25, 30 people. But because this is an arena spectacular, so we're not performing to theatres, we're performing where you'd see U2 or Bon Jovi perform in like Rod Laver arena size spaces. So the cast is actually going to be a cast of principal roles, and then the cast of ensemble is going to be about 500 or so. Wow. So it's much bigger than you'd expect it to be.
Oh, this is a spectacular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just a theatre show, it's a spectacular.
Yeah, well, everyone should rush along to see it.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, if anyone from Mildura gets along, make sure you tag me on social media, and after the show I'll come out and say hi.
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
Might include me. Just finally, of course, COVID struck, and we talked about Shrek going back after that, but the whole industry was just crippled and crushed. How have you and your colleagues got through that? And now things are really looking up for you, but may not be the case for everyone.
Yeah, COVID-19 hit our industry quite severely, and we're still finding our feet, And a lot of my colleagues, I've been fortunate enough to have some jobs to land on, to fall back on, but a lot of my colleagues are still struggling, So COVID-19 was a time of re-evaluation for me. It was sort of a time of upskilling. I did some short courses, I learned new skills, I started a small business. It was a whole time of planning for what comes next, and I think that if there's anyone out there who's a bit tentative about performing now because our industry is a bit broken and a bit in pieces, I think don't worry, keep pushing through. Even this morning we got a brief that Cinderella the musical's coming to Australia, Phantom of the Opera's coming to Australia, so there's a lot more opportunities coming our way, and if you hang in there, it'll happen.
Fantastic. Well, Ross, great to see you, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks, John.
And enjoy your time in Mildura.
Cheers, good to see you, and I'll hopefully see you at the show.
Fantastic. And be sure to get all of your news at milduraweekly.com.au, and of course the paper's free in your letterbox every Friday.